Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we're going to be talking about Golden Axe 2. This is one of Sega's many beat-em-ups that they released, and it's a pretty awesome one. The graphics on it are really good, the controls are really nice, and the story's kind of what you'd expect from a beat-em-up game. There's a big bad guy. He took control of the kingdom, and your goal is to make it to the end and beat the crap out of him with, one of your many different weapons and some magical attacks. So, like the first Golden Axe, you have three characters to choose from: the dwarf, barbarian, and our wonderful kind of red Sonya cutout, whose name I keep forgetting. I should actually look that up at some point, but whatever. You can tell it's a lot more detailed than the first Golden Axe, and I will say this one is much easier than the first Golden Axe. It's also a bit of a longer game, but it's still a lot of fun to play. There are some weird spots in it where the AI for the enemies is a little bit more artificial and not all that intelligent. However, I think that's probably pretty common with beat-em-ups in this time. If you're near a pit, you can kind of lure the enemies to walk down the pit. It's kind of funny because you're watching them basically commit suicide, but at the same time you're kind of like, I feel the enemies should know that that's a pit and they're not supposed to go down there. It reminds me of when I played the I'm gonna mess this up. The Pirates of Dark Water beat 'em up, and you had the enemies just constantly walking into the death trap that kept hitting them. That's sort of how I felt while I was playing this, and just kind of luring the enemies to jump off platforms and go down into the pits. Like the first game, you have these little cutscenes in between each level. In the first one, you have to basically beat up the wizards. The green ones will drop food, the blue ones will drop magic books, and it's kind of fun. I like that they give you that, because sometimes you can get kind of beat up in these, and you might need that. And also handing out like food every once in a while, just so your guy can stay alive. That's pretty awesome as well. It's especially important because you don't find a lot of health power-ups in this game. Or I'm just completely missing them entirely. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but it did feel a little weird that I wasn't finding any health power-ups. I kind of remember that from the first game too, where you just don't really find too many of them. It was just something weird that I was noticing. Also, if you want to get like the real ending to the game, you need to play it on a higher difficulty. I wasn't playing it on hard mode or anything like that, so it took me a little bit to really get through this and kind of get my feet underneath me. But I beat the game, and I got the message that said, hey, you need to try it on a harder mode in order to get the real ending. This is one of those games that, I didn't really know about it until I started game collecting. A lot like the first game. I just had no idea what the series was about, what the game was, and my friends and I just started collecting games. And for some weird reason, everybody kind of started collecting with the Genesis. I don't know why exactly. I have a feeling my friend Drew wanted to play something on the Genesis, maybe Gunstar Heroes. And so he bought a Genesis, and then a couple of my other friends did. And one of them really wanted General Chaos, and also for some odd reason wanted the Double Dragon fighting game. The late 90s were really weird. I don't know what to tell you. It was just very strange. You had a bunch of, well, all of us, like we had all just started getting jobs and everything, so we had a lot of disposable income at the time, and we just started collecting video games. Or at least I started collecting them seriously. A couple other people really didn't. They were a little bit more realistic with what they were doing. And back then I was just kind of buying anything I saw. Especially when it came to the Sega Genesis, because this is the system I have the most memories of playing. But it's weird that my friends never rented Golden Axe when they would rent video games. They never rented Golden Axe. It was mostly sports games on the Genesis, and for some odd reason, Phantasy Star 4. I do remember playing this when I was in high school. I went over to my friend Alex's house, and he had both of these. And this was kind of a weird thing. I can't remember if it was Golden Axe 2 or the first Golden Axe, where if you use the 6-button controller, it wouldn't map out right unless you put it into unless you put it into the 3-button mode. Because if you had it in 6-button mode, none of the controls would be mapped correctly. It was so weird to play it like that, because you would... I can't really describe it because I haven't... It's been a good 20 plus years since I played it like that. But you had... you would have like the different buttons, so the ABC and then the other 3, X, Y, Z. Some of them would like control your movement, and then others would attack. It just got mapped all kinds of crazy. And it was the only time I ever remember a game doing that, but I'm guessing other 3-button games would get all messed up if you tried to use them with the 6-button controller. And I didn't try it with this. I probably should have, but I didn't. I'm still unpacking from a move, so I didn't feel like trying to find my 6-button controller and testing it out. So I don't know if... I should probably just drop it. It was one of the 2 games. Another weird thing, I don't know if I mentioned this in the first Golden Axe, in the first Golden Axe video, but when I was collecting these, and when I was collecting a lot of other Genesis games, you had this weird thing where the cover art wouldn't have the title of the game on it. So it was kind of hard to know exactly what it was till you picked up the game. And there were some Genesis titles that didn't have the title on the cover. It was only on like the end label. It was just so weird seeing that. I don't know why they did it that way, but it's just one of those weird quirks of from collecting games and whatnot. Oh, I should also mention there's a fighting game part to this. So you do have the duel mode, which is kind of like the Double Dragon fight mode, where you can just fight if you have 2 players over, which is kind of fun. It adds some value to it. Otherwise, this is a fairly short game. I believe they added levels to this. I could be mistaken. Usually what they would do when they would make a console game out of an arcade game, they would add some levels to it to kind of add some value, because otherwise the game's going to last like a half an hour. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap this up here. This is a great game. All of the Golden Axe games are pretty awesome. These are just some really classic Genesis games. They're a lot of fun to play. They can be short, though, because these are not very long arcade games. One thing I wish we got was some more of the arcade games, because there were some that we just did not really get. They were released on the arcade 1-up cabinet, I've got a review of that if you want to go and find it. I can probably put it in the pinned comment. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap this up. Golden Axe 2 is a great game. Really wonderful game to play, and it looks great. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and have a great day, everybody. Bye.